They're broken down and defeated, deteriorated, busy and confused, sleeping. You're dying while I wait you till it started. On the journey chosen, wasted, no selected. I was so bad, what happened? Fall out of the sky and crush me in my smile. I was so bad, what happened? Fall out of the sky and crush me in my smile. Sober, sad and jaded. They're not coming, they're broken down and defeated. You are dying while I wait to get started. You are dying while I wait to get started. I was so bad, what happened? Fall out of the sky, yeah. Push me in my smile. I was so bad, what happened? Fall out of the sky and crush me in my smile.
I'm a motherfucking unicorn, a one of one. Divide being the love and light, then light and one. My karma is interstellar, I live by truth. Fighting evil, my scars are living proof. Protecting you from the storms with all my might. Love me, I will treat you right. You ever cross me, it's the last thing you'll ever do. With my crown of thorns, I'll wreck you. I ain't playing, yo, Bryan hard, call me a saint. Too bad Chris, because Bigfoot knows my name. I'm a messenger of God, with loyalty I serve, taking out all evil with his holy word. A true Knights Templar, sword in hand, slice you up, bury you in the sand. I'm a motherfucking unicorn, you'll never find anyone like me. Born in the Bronx, raised in NYC, so listen up, take heed. I float like a butterfly, sting like a bee. A true Knights Templar, sword in hand, slice you up, bury you in the sand. I'm a motherfucking unicorn, you'll never find anyone like me. Born in the Bronx, raised in NYC, so listen up, take heed. I float like a butterfly, sting like a bee.
Holy Michael the Archangel, defend us in battle. Be our protection against the wickedness and snares of the devil. May God rebuke him, we humbly pray. And do thou, O Prince of the heavenly hosts, by the power of God, thrust into hell Satan and all the other evil spirits who prowl through the world, seeking the ruin of souls. Amen and amen.
Crossing Realms Conference is coming this September 19th and 20th to the Eagleton Civic Center in Richmond, Missouri. Tickets to this landmark event are on sale right now at Eventbrite. The powerful speaker lineup will cover topics from Bigfoot, UFOs, and aliens, so you will not want to miss attending this amazing 2-day inaugural event. Again, that's the Crossing Realms Conference, this September 19th and 20th at the Eagleton Civic Center in Richmond, Missouri. Please mark your calendar and get your tickets before they vanish. Space is limited.
Evening, everyone. Welcome to Third Eye Live with Mark, Eddie, and myself. Mark's using his invisibility cloak that he got at Disney this year, the Harry Potter. And no, Mark had a flash flooding in West Virginia. He'll be back. So while we're waiting for him to come in, or take the invisibility cloak out, we're gonna bring our guest in. Brent Thomas is the creator and host of an amazing show. It's a podcast, and it's on all the podcast networks as well. But it's also a great video show, and he's created it. And he's our guest tonight. But we're going to do something crazy, and we'll bring Brent in right now. Brent will explain himself to everybody. Welcome to the Third Eye Live, Brent. Because I think we had this semi-planned but not planned, but it's working out great. So it's like Jerry Lewis tonight, huh?
Yeah, it's fine. And thanks for having me, brother. It's really cool.
My pleasure.
I've really enjoyed getting to know this whole community of people like that you are affiliated with, and it's become another family for me. And you guys are all wonderful people, and it's just been an honor to become a part of your world and to bring you into mine. So thank you so much for letting me be here.
Yeah, no, it was a pleasure. We had like a text message stream on Messenger, like, hey, would you want to come on the show? And I'm always honored. There are too many people in this that have egos. They're like, well, I was waiting for you to call. It's like, no, dude, you don't have to have me on. I want to talk with, the whole premise of this show, Third Eye Live, is how your third eye, your consciousness, intuition, dreams, even divine intervention, God stuff, has given you a like whatever abilities and gifts to do what you do, whether you know it or not, or if you do know it. And I want, it's not just paranormal. I want artists on, I want musicians on, I want Mark Eddy on, I want authors on, but not, I don't want to do a book report for people. That's kind of boring. Right. But yeah, so this is what it is. And it's usually something interesting that sparks your interest into this crazy subject. But look, this is what I love about Brent. I met Brent, actually, I was watching Rob BMR, Bigfoot Michigan Rob, was doing some kind of thing on a Saturday night. I got no life. I'm a parent, and I'm sitting outside, and thank God I have a deck. Although to charge you more money in Florida, it's called the Lanai.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, whatever. So I just go out there because right now I'm in the Bronx, and I'm in a fairly large 1-bedroom apartment, but there's no terrace or nothing to go outside. You have to go down 7 stories, walk out. Neighborhood's not that great. It's not that bad, but it's like on the border to hang out. So I take advantage of this house that we purchased in Florida, and I go out there. I want to spend as much time outside and not cooped up, except when I'm doing shows and or as a guest. And I will be a guest this Friday on another show, and we'll talk about that at another time or later. I'll talk about it on the second half of this 4 or 5 hour telethon. And if you don't provide Brent with super chats, I don't have that yet.
Sure.
We're gonna play the Ramones sedated repeatedly until someone gives in, or Mark Eddy's going to sing karaoke all night long. I don't know. I don't think Mark's going to be joining us in the second half of the hour, because Mark has to be dig out the mud or whatever.
Oh
Or
God.
either he's digging out mud from the flood or he's burying someone in his basement. We don't know that yet.
No, it's the digging, and I've had to step away. The soil and conservation guys ca- came to the front door. It's kind of important to tell, give them permission to bring their equipment up the stream.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Wow.
The bottom of the stream is actually getting close to the top of the bank. So, just moderate rains are going to continue flooding unless it's dredged.
Where are you, Mark? What part of the country?
In Wheeling, West Virginia. That's
West Virginia.
that. So I'm just,
Mama, take me home. Sorry,
yeah,
had to do that.
that's it. There's some singing for the night, but the flood stories you see on the leading the national news. That's basically
Yeah.
my neighborhood.
Oh man.
And then we got on a conspiracy side of things, but we're not going to do that to get the show shut down at this point.
Yeah. There's other
It could
people
be
talking
bad.
about it too.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's kind of like an actual issue, and well, I don't want to get into it right now because that's totally for when I'm on like Agent X11 or the Wake Nation. The Wake Nation, well, you can handle that. But we're going to keep this a little bit more light. We're talking about, life after death and all that other crazy stuff. but so I mean, let me just do a little run through to say hi to all the people that are showing up, and there's more showing up all over the place. I appreciate everybody. John Straw Dog, awesome guy. We got Jen from Paranormal Newfoundland Podcast and Bog Team, Boots on the Ground. Jen, if you haven't gotten Brent on, get him on. He's awesome. We got this. We got a wonderful lady, Amanda's Crazy Life Channel is here. I don't do it as well as Dave Scott does it. We got the big Ragu, Al Santariga.
God, that brings me back, man.
Yeah, it does. That's why I said it. Al is known. Well, we were both given the name the Squatch Fathers, but Al has co-opted it because he's Italian, even though it's also mine. So, but he retired a year plus ago, and he's done more podcasts than anybody else. So now I call him the Podfather. He's gonna fucking hate me right now. So who else is here? Nate from the Quantum Show's here. Nathan, and I'm sorry for spelling your name wrong. I need a dialing wand because I'm like Homer Simpson. My fat fingers don't work that well. And we have another Amanda Joseph, and we're going through. We're going to pop up some of these things on the board. And Kitty Catwhack, she's here. So we do appreciate and Paranormal Portal, of course. He's here. He's sitting in front of us. So speaking of which, welcome to the show. I appreciate you coming on. Nobody has to come on. I hope I didn't mute myself because I'm touching things here.
Nope, you're good.
So I put your bio up in the description.
Yeah.
How the heck did you get involved in this? Because, I met you on the BMR thing when they were doing that investigation, and then I was like, I'm bored. So I started hitting on stuff, and I was like, I'm sorry, I'm chatting too much. I'll stop. And then Rob goes, fuck that. Here we go. Get in here. And I was boom, 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 boom. And, we got Paranormal Paul, and I was telling him everything that was happening.
Mm-hmm.
I was on fire that night. Oh, look who showed up. Bigfoot Michigan Rob. We're just talking about you, BMR. And then you were coming in, and they got you in, and we were discussing the upcoming Crossing Realms conference. Thank you, Rob, for giving the new video for that.
Yeah.
So I can run it. They still have tables available for vending, by the way, and it's $75. And I can tell you, you ain't going to get a deal like this again. It is awesome. Come down, sell stuff, buy shit on Etsy, and then sell it there at the conference and make a little money. $75. It's usually like 100, 200. Some places are nuts.
Yeah.
So that's when I met you. You were like me. You and I are driving to the events, because we don't want to be without our vehicles, and we'll probably have the same amount of time.
Yeah, not only that, but I got my whole setup that I'm going to put on my table, and so I don't want to try to figure out how to send all that ahead and hope it makes it. So
I was thinking that too, and I want to deal with that.
So it's going to be about a 21-hour run for me each way. So I don't know what kind of drive you're looking at, but
about 21 hours.
Perfect.
Yeah. So now I'm planning my trip. Like, where am I staying over?
Yeah.
And like, there's one spot where I should be staying over because I only have my old days. I'll drive 24 hours.
Oh,
but
wow.
You know what? I don't need to. I want to be able to, stop, relax for a little bit. Cause I gotta, when I get to the motel, hotel, Holiday Inn, I can't just go to sleep. I gotta decompress a little bit. And there has to be a Waffle House nearby because I love that place.
Sure.
But like Atlanta is on Nashville, Tennessee is on the list as one of the places. Problem with Nashville is I was looking at pricing of hotel rooms for one night. I think it starts at $500-$600.
Oh God.
Wow.
Really?
So I'm like, no, yeah, I'm not kidding.
Oh.
But there's some, outskirts of Nashville, and with every city, there's good areas and bad areas.
Sure.
So you want to make sure that you're, you don't have to, go testify in a court before you get to the damn event. So I gotta figure that one out. But
I always just hit the in between towns. I never stop when I'm in the around the big metros. I always go like another hour or so past and hit the little scrubby place that has like a Best Western or something. Cause it's just a matter of sleeping somewhere for a few hours. And so
that's it. I mean, like normally, I became a member of all these, like, Wyndham and Hilton. And I've been doing Hiltons for a while, and it's not just the Hilton brand. It's like the other property, Hampton Inn or whatever. And they do have some kind of breakfast in the morning or something. It's just the bed. Although the one I stay in on the way when I'm driving to and back and from New York, in Florence, South Carolina, 2 times I've gotten the same room, and it's 100% haunted. And they know that they don't know it's haunted, but I'm trying to sleep. First time in a while, king bed to myself, no BS. And damn ghost is opening the fridge, closing it, opening it and closing it. And I'm like, dude, can you please stop? I got to get some sleep. I'm like, look, if you want to talk to me tomorrow, just hit me in the morning or something like that. No, it's literally, and I'm like, so I had to go tell them, and they're like, who died in 2009?
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, no one did. I'm like, oh yeah, someone must have, because that fucker's haunted. And then you start telling them those things. But yeah, so I know what you're saying. I need an inexpensive like bed. That's it.
That's brutal. Isn't that something though? Just speaking of like haunted hotels, could you imagine the fresh kind of hell it is to be that person that now you're stuck in a hotel room? Like, forever?
Yeah, like who the hell are these people?
Yeah.
And this is one, because it's the halfway point from Florida.
Yeah.
This is where they're never not booked. They're always booked solid. So it's the halfway point, and I'm like,
they never check out.
Yeah, I'm like
the Roach Motel.
And what about the ghosts that are there that don't realize they're dead? They're like, someone's come in my room, and they're trying to pick up the phone, and it's like, that would be really weird. But how did you start in this crazy stuff? How did you get involved with all us lunatics or whatever?
I think I've always been a lunatic. Honestly, I don't ever remember a time that I wasn't in this. That I wasn't fascinated with it. Professionally, there's a story, but as far as what was my genesis into the paranormal, I don't remember a time that I wasn't fascinated with ghosts and Bigfoot and Loch Ness Monster and UFO aliens and strange phenomena. I mean, I've always been absolutely fascinated with it. And I think maybe I've tried to conceptualize this, and I've said this on several interviews, but I think, hey, Rob, I was thinking that maybe what I love about it so much is it just flies in the face of all that hubris that we tend to
Right.
have. Like, oh, we got this all figured out. It's all scientifically labeled and categorized, and it's all, you know, on a shelf somewhere. And I love the fact that this stuff isn't. This flies in the face of all of the traditional knowledge in physics and the laws of physics that we've been taught and told. In reality is this concrete box. It's a rigid structure that has absolute laws, and yet this stuff happens. Your bathroom door shuts and nobody did it, and you know you're seeing an apparition walk through your room and nobody's there. I mean, these are flying in the face of all those traditional scientific absolutes. So it reminds us, I think, that we have a lot to learn. That there's still magic and mystery in this world. It's not just all conquered and labeled. It's still a wide open terrain of possibilities, and I love that. I don't want to live in a box. I don't want to live in a cage. I want to live in a place of potential and possibility.
Oh,
So,
I agree with you. Yeah.
So that's what I think got it into me. Now, what got me into the broadcasting was, I mean, there was definitely an evolution of that. The funny thing is I was one of those really late bloomers in life. Like, I was always jealous and envious of those people that I knew, and some I grew up with, and even from a young age, they knew where they were going, what they were doing, and what they would do to get there. Hey, Nate, good to see you, brother. And
Yeah, I'm trying to go down the list as my solo, guy that's running the show right now.
yeah, I'm the
But
one man act too, brother.
yeah.
But I just didn't know what I wanted to do, and I was always jealous of those people that did. And I've done a lot of really cool things in my careers. Worked IT. I've taught high school. I've done many different things through the years, factories, advertising, so many things. And they were all fine, and I found them rewarding. I worked corrections for about 15 years,
Oh
and
my God.
yeah, I mean, I've done a lot of different things, but I never felt like I found my calling. Like, I found things that I could do, and I every one of them I taught myself how to do it, but I was very proud of that. But I didn't know what I wanted to do. And it wasn't until I was doing advertising remotely, and then I ended up moving out here to the North Tip of Idaho. And I worked at the company headquarters at the time. And
Right.
there was a gentleman who was contracted to do a lot of the back end web development and apps and things like that. And his name was Chris Geo. And he had a internet radio station called Truth Frequency Radio. And he and I got to be friends and talked, and it just dawned on me suddenly, like a wave. Like, we were
Yeah.
talking, and I was like, hey, I want to do a show. And as soon as I said that, and I'm not kidding, I'm not exaggerating, the name came right to me. And it's going to be called Paranormal Portal, and it's going to be this, and this is what I want to do. And I pitched it to him just cold like that. And he goes, let's make it happen. Let's do it. And
Yeah.
so I started doing internet radio first, Friday and Saturday show. First Friday, and then I added Saturday, but it was 2-hour shows right off the bat. And then after this was in 2016, and then in 2017 I branched onto YouTube, and then in 2019 I started the podcast. So with the podcast and the YouTube thing are two very different shows, generally speaking. But
So you do a separate show for the podcast versus, well, do you capture the audio from the video to put it out as a show no? You just do a separate.
yeah, my
Wow.
podcasts are actually interview based, where I'll interview experiencers, authors, researchers. I've had some celebrities. I've interviewed George Norrie and Amy Bruni and several celebrities on my
Right.
show.
Para whatevers.
Yeah, para whatevers, and they're wonderful
Yeah.
people, all of them. I haven't met any.
They are.
And no jerks I've met yet. So they've all been amazing people. But just everything, and just having these discussions. But my podcast episodes are generally about 45 minutes to an hour, and I just have a good time. Now I do sometimes, when I do interviews on my live show, I will port that over to the podcast and create podcast episodes from that, usually 2 from the 1 2-hour interview. But generally speaking, they're 2 absolutely different shows.
have you ever ported over some of the interviews to the show? Vice versa to the video and
No,
run some of it.
I haven't. And you know what? You're probably hitting on something that I should do though, because
I mean, if you're doing the work and are you doing like a video conference or something?
yeah, I do audio recording, and then I do a video audio recording simultaneously when I'm doing
Right.
interviews
So
for the
so then
podcast.
it doesn't hurt and I see that you use the highlights. You're probably using Opus or whatever it is to
I
pull
use
some clips.
Well, oh yeah, I'm actually using one that's built into my rebroadcasting. I use Restream, and it has a
Okay. So, yeah. Same
yeah,
thing. Yeah.
yeah, same idea.
But you can use those as teasers to draw them to the podcast, which is great. But
Yeah.
why? I mean, it's kind of like I'm gonna go old school, and only the older people are gonna understand this. But you have the McDLT right there, the hot side and the cold side. Put those together, and then that means more content, which means more people. You're keeping people going.
Yeah.
I know you're trying to draw them to each one, but the one, when you are monetized on YouTube, you may be getting like send a super thanks or something like that.
Mhm.
It's just another vehicle, and we both have kids and they need the money because they need a new iPhone or whatever it is. So
God knows, yeah, yeah. No, that's a good
yeah,
idea. I probably will incorporate that in the future. Just do some teasers to my YouTube audience to show them, because they are very, generally speaking, they're two very different audiences. Just even looking at the demographics between my audio podcast, it'll be anywhere from 18 to 64-year-olds, but my YouTube is generally 35 to 60 is the kind of the sweet spot for my
right.
audience there. So yeah, but I will
Well,
tell you that my audio podcast is much bigger than my YouTube show by a long shot, by many multiples. And I guess that means I have a face for radio.
I say the same thing right now. When I started roughly around the same thing you were doing. There was another network out of the UK, which sucks ass, pardon the expression. These people didn't know their ass from their elbow. And I started a show. I was talking to the two owners. I want to do a show because they were starting a network, and the female half of the said sure. And originally I was looking for a morning drive time. So originally I had the psychic for our group, Cindy Bailey Dove, who's out of this world in Arkansas. I wanted that dynamic. And then I said, well, if I put her in there, and my buddy Al, who's in there, who's started the Bronxville Paranormal Society, which we're both members of, that whatever, it just wouldn't be good. So it was all three of us. And it was great. They had the flagship show, and we blew them out of the water.
Oh, no.
And so I started doing that. And then I helped out Ron, the crypto guru Murphy, because his co-host left. And Ron couldn't tie his shoelaces in technology. Because I'm like you. I worked in, I went for finance and I was working on trading floors, but I helped build client management systems.
Oh, nice.
And then they developed in trading systems. And then I did a little UN stuff. I mean, I'm kind of like, we've both done a lot in our lives, and people like, how do you do that? You do your own consulting, whatever it is. So I was doing Inside the Goblin Universe with him as well. And I took it, we had a little quarrel with the owners of the network, and they can go suck up. I don't, whatever. And all I was trying to do is market the network and the show, because we were going to this conference where we met everybody from TAPS, all the TAPS guys. And
Sure.
And I interview them privately, on camera. And I'm like, do you have any marketing stuff, like stickers that we can hand out for the and they're like, oh, that's a great idea. Well, you'll have to print them yourselves. And I'm like, the back of my head is like, I don't own this network. I'm not printing crap.
Yeah.
I'm trying to promote this. Long story short, we did the podcast, and we were getting, the minute it dropped, we got over 1,500 people downloading it.
Nice. Very nice.
And it was so much easier because we didn't have to worry about all this.
Yeah.
But it was a little bit more like, be quiet, we're recording type of thing. This got better because now everybody's used to life. This is life right here. You have your studio. Thank God for the V cam behind me, because otherwise you see my kitchen. Has his, his studio, his office, and he has books where it should be. And it looks fine. He used to put up, what was the dinosaur you put up behind you, Mark?
The fossilized fish head.
The fossilized fish head. But the problem with that is when using it, I'm going to see if I can get a Teams VCam so he can download it and throw it up. There it is. But the problem is when Mark holds up like stuff like here, it blends into the,
Yes.
yeah, it breaks up. So now with this VCam thing, I can just hold up whatever I want. For some reason, I learned this from Penny Shepard.
Oh, nice.
She uses it on Agent X. And the reason why I switched to it is some guy goes, maybe you want to clean that room in the comments, and I'm like, well, yeah, I got a lot of crap here, but you live with the people I live with and who put stuff in there and say, Dad's messy. So,
yeah.
but, but yeah, no, I love the idea. It's like, yeah, I want to do a podcast. And we did Inside the Goblin Universe. Then I did a show called Nobo Boomy, which stands for Nobody But Me. It's just the first two.
Okay.
And everybody was like I had Jonathan Mallard, who was one of the first people to write a book about ITC out of Newfoundland, where Jen's from. And he's so much fun. You can joke with him. He had a show too, the Ode to Newfoundland podcast, and he'd have me on there. But we would joke. We'd have a good time with it. Mm-hmm. And I had him on as a guest. He goes, "What's this Nobo Blow Me?" I'm like, "No, Blow Me's a totally different show, different note." So I stopped that. And then I got picked up by the Three Beards podcast. That's where I met Mark Eddy, because they had me on as a guest. They were like, "We like what you have to say." Mm-hmm. So we'll come back. So this is where, this is my dynamic. But I still want to, I think there's importance here. And actually I've watched your show. I try to hit it live and sometimes, I'll just listen.
Sure.
Because, I think there's importance because you've been into this subject, you've had experiences, and now you're researching it. This is just your next evolution.
Right.
Before you start your cult. So.
Yeah, I haven't gotten far as the cult yet, but
me neither.
Just subscribers at this point.
Well, you know what? Yeah, it's, we had so many different vehicles YouTube wise. Like at one point in time, if you see, we research everything, UFOs, ghosts, cryptids, you name it. But if you went to a conference that was mostly ghosts, oh no, you can't, cryptids can't be here. Like it's like you put your peanut butter or your chocolate in my peanut butter. I'm like, you people need to grow the hell up, and there's a thread that goes through all of it. Have you found that so far with what you're doing?
I haven't ever been told not to, bring something to the table. Like when I go to conferences and stuff, I've never had anybody go, well, this is a Bigfoot type of conference. We don't do the UFO stuff.
Right.
Nobody's ever done that. I don't do a ton of conferences either, but I do like, I discuss all of it. And the interesting thing is that as much as people want to pigeonhole these things as very separate topics, and they are, but the interesting thing to me is the bleed through between them. Like sometimes it's almost impossible to tell the difference between a haunting and an abduction or encounter scenario with aliens, or even cryptozoological with some of the woo that people discuss. It's like, well, how do you know for sure which one you're dealing with? And
right.
That's the one. So I don't know. I don't think it separates quite as naturally as they think it does,
I don't think so either. I mean, I found that out a long time ago with what I studied in school, that I was majoring in something, but I went something different. There is a thread that cuts through each one of these. And the problem you have is, I don't think you have people that want to believe that.
Yeah. Well, no, there's certainly, especially in the Bigfoot community, there's very, very adamant, staunch ape theory. That's it. They're just an ape or some kind of ape, and that's it. They're just not. They don't want to even touch the water of, yeah, but they people are reporting orbs and then Bigfoots, and and Bigfoot phasing and stuff like that, and possibly cloaked Bigfoot, and no, it's an ape, and that's
Ooh.
that's people defending their paradigm. Like, people are so defensive about their paradigm that they're not going to flex. They're just not going to give an inch to potential and possibility. But yeah, it's crazy.
You have to. I'm like, when I do my presentation at the conference,
Mhm.
oh, I'm going to piss so many people off. I already know it. And we're going to get into some of that stuff, like the phasing and the orbs and the other stuff, on the cryptid end of it. And when I come out, the diehards of it, like, oh my God, blasphemy. Blasphemy.
Yeah.
Did you do that, Bryan?
I'm of course I do that. What are you kidding me? That's my MO, the problem is I don't have time for BS.
Yeah.
I don't have time for the BS for anybody. We have limited time in this world, and I'm not going to put on a show just to make your feelings feel better. I'm telling you like it is, but I always said the same thing. I don't like to be called an expert, and I've been called that numerous times as guests. I just have a lot of experience. I'm not an expert. I do believe there are experts in this field in the government, that have these cryptids and, extraterrestrials, and they're working on them scientifically, and they know what these things are, or whatever. That's an expert. But so everything's hypothesis.
Mhm.
But my hypothesis is just as equal to your hypothesis, and you can defend it. I believe you have every right to say what you want to say about it, but you're right. There's people can't get out of their own paradigm. It's, no, they can't be. It's got to be flesh and blood.
And it's funny because and it's also the same people that'll be like, well, I believe in Bigfoot, but I don't believe in ghosts, or I believe in Bigfoot and ghosts, but I don't believe in UFOs. It's like, how do you stop there at possibility? Because you're entertaining the idea that there's a 8-10 foot tall, primate running through our woods and even into some urban areas, according to reports and stuff. But you don't have any conceptual understanding or belief in the fact that there's spirits and ghosts, or you believe in spirits and ghosts, but you don't believe that there could be an 8 or 10 foot hairy primate running through the forest. Or,
Right.
if you believe in both of those, then you can't conceptualize the idea that no, we're alone, that there's other things in the universe, and they may be coming to visit us, whether it's multiversal or universal or whatever, multidimensional. So it's funny to me that people are willing to hang their hat on one thing, but then they just don't have time for anything else.
Yeah, I mean, like I don't understand. Well, I had a problem. I was talking about it on another show,
Mhm.
and I saw something because it was Father's Day, and I just couldn't sleep the last 3 days prior nights. The same individual was in all 3 nights worth of dreams, which is very rare. So I'm like, this has to be a message, and so I got up, and of course I get up at 4:44 in the morning. Actually, I got up 3:33, which I don't sleep very well. I'm a parent. I'm older. It just
Sure.
Did I pay that? Did I do it? Whatever.
Yeah.
And then this time I got up at 4:44, and I was like, I'm not even gonna try to go back to sleep. So I'm sitting there, and I go on the book, and there's a post by one person in one of the Bigfoot groups about Todd Standing, who's the Bigfoot researcher who passed away, and I like Todd. I believe I think he passed away. I'm almost positive. I'm not sure. I mean,
Ooh.
I don't. That's what I heard. I wasn't buddy with him.
No.
But
I'm gonna look this
but
up.
so he did a 22-minute video how Bigfoot is not Bigfoot's dangerous, and they're Nephilim, and they're evil, and whatever.
He's still alive, by the way.
Okay, thank God, because and he's entitled to his opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
And I'm going to tell you this: I'm a God-fearing man. I'm an ordained minister, I, I really do believe in God.
Mhm.
I have a Jesus side to me, and I believe in the Judeo-Christian world.
Mhm.
I don't discredit others. There are other religions, but that's my focus as a Western American born and raised here,
Right.
and I have a healthy respect for the Lord. But when your religious belief and your Bigfoot or your cryptid or your ghost, when that trumps everything you're doing paranormal, the religious side of it, of course, everything's an alien, and aliens are demons. Bigfoot's a Nephilim. You know, I don't believe so, and I'm not trying to. I believe these are just species,
Yes.
and I use. Matter of fact, I was on a buddy of my show. They do a show, Brothers of the Arcana, and I was on there, and I try to explain this to people. Some of these cryptids, or a lot of these cryptids, if not all, have an innate ability to do things.
Mhm.
Like if I ask you right now, Brent, how do you breathe? Well, you breathe the air in your lungs, but how did you know when you came out of the embiotic fluid to breathe the air?
It
Right.
just happened. You're programmed.
Yes, it's an innate ability. So imagine not knowing about the octopus and walking upon an octopus and like, oh my God, what is that? And then it changes its shape, texture, form, color. You're like, that's a demon. No, it's not. It's an octopus. They shouldn't be here anyhow, but that's what the scientists have said.
Well,
you know,
yeah. Why couldn't Nessie and Bigfoot just be considered part of the critters God made on day 4, 3, 4, or 5, whenever?
it very well could have been.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think and that's always been kind of a I don't want to say pet peeve because certainly people can believe whatever the hell they want, but when they speak with authority on stuff like that, that's the part that it's like, well, how do you know that? How do you know Bigfoot's a Nephilim? And I've heard that for years, and I always go back to the same place. But how do we know? Nobody studied these things. Certainly, nobody's interviewed them. Well, there are people
No.
that channel them or connect to them or all of that stuff too, and to each their own. I can't pretend to know, but it's way out there to me personally because I can't connect to that on a emotional
The,
or spiritual place.
yeah, the Nephilim really don't have any indications of wings. The fallen angels would have been their or
Their
parents.
parents.
Their
Their
parents.
parents.
Yep.
Like there shouldn't be that much evolution in just one generation. So why don't they have
I mean, to defend
wings?
to defend that, they are I would say a supernatural being, and they may have abilities to block out that other portion of it. I don't know. I'm not defending the Nephilim per se, or the angels, but if they have the ability to morph themselves or look at a certain way or whatever, maybe it's something through the angel, or the angel and the human merger that negates certain aspects that the human body couldn't handle.
Yeah.
But we're talking about 10 footers, 20 feet, 50 feet, even 60 feet.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And it's like Bigfoot's, I mean, some of them, I've heard a report of a 25-foot Bigfoot. So,
Have you really?
yeah.
Wow.
Ron Moorhead's book. Read Ron Moorhead's book.
The Quantum?
Quantum. Yeah. It's basically in there.
Huh. Wow. Was that something Ron claimed to have seen, or was it reported?
No, I think he was interviewing somebody who was up in the Sierras, I believe, if I remember. I'm kind of paraphrasing the book. Great book, by the way. I'm getting the second one, and he's a great guy. I've had him on, and they said, "Have you seen a giant bipedal whatever?" And the person said, "You mean King Kong?" And he was like, "What are you talking about?" He was like 25 feet tall. And there is reports of other cryptids being as tall. Now, you would think a 25-foot tall cryptid, how could you miss it? But we don't know what their innate abilities are or aren't,
Right.
at that point. And then we can't trust the government with satellite data, even the independent, the privateers, because let's say, whatever else other satellite companies, MapQuest or whatever, because they want, the government gives them the government contract and they say, take that out, take that out, take that out, delete it, don't even show it to anybody.
Sure.
Yeah,
they must screen all of that. I suppose that would be very true. It is interesting, isn't it? Wow. I don't know. That's a huge. I'm just thinking about how big is 25 feet, because even 8 or 10 feet is hard to conceptualize. Like, what is something as big? Like, I have 9-foot ceilings in my house, and how would it be like to be next
you
to
have 2 floors? Do you have 2 floors in your home or one?
Yeah.
So it would be to the ceiling of this, a little bit past the ceiling of the second floor.
And that to me is just mind-boggling. But I will tell you this, I grew up in Minnesota and lived most of my life in Minnesota, but I'm transplanted now to the North Idaho, into the Pacific Northwest here. And I'm here to tell you, these woods are dark. I mean, you could hide a T-Rex 15 feet away from you and you'd never see it. The conifer trees grow so close, and they literally suck all the light out. You can be a midsummer midday and you'll go into those darker parts and it's like late dusk. I mean, it's just totally different world. And so then if a T-Rex could hide back there, well, I guess maybe a 25-foot Bigfoot too could as well, especially, they're still naturally in a ghillie suit.
Well, I mean, I remember driving, through Pennsylvania to visit some people, do some research, and I went to a couple of conferences, and the roads, the forests, that Pennsylvania is a very large state, a lot of forest areas there, and you're right. I mean, you could literally stop your car on the side of the road and have a Bigfoot standing right next to you, and you wouldn't even see him.
You'd never know.
Or I mean, there's reports of pterodactyls, and I think actually up in your neck of the woods, almost. I think.
Yeah, pterodactyls are everywhere. They're like Missouri. Yeah. Even over in the East Coast, in the upper, like Maine and New York areas. It's like, wow. And Canada, of course.
Yeah, well, Canada has some strange people in it, right, Jen? Only kidding. Just playing around. I think Dave is upset now because his team was the Oilers, and it was, he's not going to be a happy camper. They got manhandled last night by Florida. Like I said, I'm a Ranger fan first and foremost, and then I go Panthers and then the Bolts, because both of them at one point were like, that's where all the other Rangers went. So when the Bolts were winning the cup, I still supported them because there was a lot more Rangers on it. But I said it. There's Jen right there. Yeah, there's a lot of strange people in Canada. Actually, the strangest state, one state that has, I think, the most paranormal investigators or people in the paranormal, like strange, like witches, warlocks, whatever you want, is Ohio.
Boom. I knew you were going to say that. Every freaking story seems to come out of Ohio. Tennessee's been coming up in the ranks though lately. I've heard a lot coming out of Tennessee.
Yeah, well, that's because Nashville's there, and they have a couple of those new bars. So, no, but there is a lot there. Isn't it interesting? So, what's great about Brent's show is you post some evidence, and then you discuss the evidence, and then I've seen a couple of the shorts. I've seen a couple of the longs too, and you have sometimes like a co-host that pops in. I believe
my oldest son,
right, and which is great. So keep it in the family.
Yeah.
Hey, Dad, am I going to get any of that super chat? Not in your life, boy.
Yeah.
Eventually.
Yeah.
But what I love is you look at it and then you break it, kind of break it down to a certain degree with, like you discuss it, and it's really, really educated, but not highbrow, which is great.
Yeah.
I don't like to use the term dumbed down. I will keep it in a form when I need to go talk tech and science. I can do that,
Yeah.
but most people don't. So I'll talk in a certain way.
Yeah.
Although I want to talk these days, the kids have this slang stuff like skibbity and all this other stuff, and they're like, "Dad, please, Dad, don't do that." You know, I want to do a whole show like that.
Well, I think it's important to bring in the information, you know, to put it in a method that if you're talking to a 6-year-old or a 60-year-old, everybody's going to understand what you're saying. So I mean, I just try to make it as listener friendly as I can, and I'm not an educated man, so you know, so there's lots of words I don't know, but I will tell you that what I've really tried to do and what I'm really trying to encourage lately, like my biggest motivator, is to encourage sensibility in some of this, because it's absolutely cooking my bacon, the amount of stuff that people are getting behind and some of the crazy ideas out there. And then you look at the message threads and people are like all on board. And it's like, how in the hell did you get there? How did you do that? And so I want to just encourage people, look, when you look at evidence, look at it from an eye of a skeptic. Absolutely start there. Doesn't mean you're skeptical, but you have to challenge this crap because there's so much of it out there and it's so phony and fake. And these people are throwing this stuff together like in their, closet meth lab of paranormal. And just putting it out there and people are smoking it, It's like,
I posted, everybody's entitled to an opinion in my book.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. Whether I believe you're right or wrong, you're still entitled to your opinion. But
yeah,
I've noticed, and I'm not trying to be highbrow, it has nothing to do with education, formal education.
Yeah.
Trust me, there's a lot of people pretty damn smart.
Mm-hmm.
There should be in Mensa, and they're cleaning your toilets, or they're navigating traffic. I mean, it's not all about a piece of paper that said, right, I spent hundreds of thousands of dollars to get this. Okay, there's other education out there.
Sure.
But there is a lot of people, and I said on the book, that are just uneducated and don't use common sense or what God gave you, the brain area there. And it shows. They go for the, and I hate the term Occam's razor. Al knows that. I hate that one. Oh, it's Occam's razor. I'm like, stop using buzzwords. Okay. The least, whatever is it. But they are so lackadaisical that if they saw a 15-second video, they're the expert now on, like the, frog witch or whatever the new cryptid is. And they will die on that hill,
Frog witch. It's a green sandwich.
Yeah, it's a green sandwich. It's got mold on the bread. So Al and I, Al started if you want to interview somebody, he's got some great stuff. I mean, we've both seen some stuff that'll blow your mind.
Al, reach out to me, paranormalportalradio@gmail.com, and love to talk to you. Yeah, I think that there's a lot to that, though. I forgot what I was going to say, though. I just really had somewhere I was going. Yeah, it's gone. Never mind.
That's what happens.
It'll come back. But
what that's like? You have it, and you're doing the interviews, and you're talking to people, and then someone interrupts, my mistake, and then you forget it.
Yeah, it's just gone.
That was me every time I went into I'm like, I want this album, this album, this album. I walk into the record store, and I'm like, why am I here? I don't remember anything. Was it Rolling Stones? I don't know.
Yeah. Or me at the grocery store. It's like, I gotta go over, get some toilet paper. And you get there and like, why the hell am I here? Chips. Okay.
Oh, yeah. Chips. Yeah, exactly. It's like,
Mothman chips.
Yeah.
Mothman chips. That would be great.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah, they're all the rage now.
I remember what I was going to say. Yeah, they are. Okay. Case in point, just to illustrate this point a little bit. I was going through my Facebook feed and I saw this post and honestly, the name was already a red flag because the Facebook post was from Bigfoot Expert. And I was like, oh my God.
Oh,
really?
This is going to be good.
so the post was this primate hand and it was a close up. He's like, I'm using this voice, but it's because I went and watched his reels, and this is how the guy talks. He's just the biggest flake out there. I couldn't believe it. From my private archives, top secret. And no, this ain't no AI. This is an actual picture. And it was supposed to be a Bigfoot hand. And I was like, what? So I kid you not, I took that and went over and did an image search, and boom, found a match. And it was a chimpanzee hand close up that somebody had posted. And I took a little link from that, and I in his comments I said, I'm just going to leave this here. And then people started hog tying him about that. But man, that guy was selling it like he had a picture of Bigfoot hand. And the comments in there were like, oh my God, I can't believe the quality. That's amazing. Can I see the rest of the pictures? Can I see what the head looks like? It's like the guy just sat there and had a photo shoot, and these people were all on. They were all on board. They were like, yeah, well, show us the rest of the pictures. This is great. And I'm like, wow.
Yeah, this is what happens. Yeah. And people have a problem. I found a Bigfoot hand today. It's magical, and I'm sharing it right now. There's my Bigfoot hand.
That's definitely, I can tell by the digit.
You can tell by the digit. Look how long it is. Yeah, got to be Nephilim.
Those are definitely Bigfoot fungies. Yeah.
So that is one of the biggest problems a lot of us have, is when people throw out the images, the blobs, and the 50 million, like, over here in the same tree, there's 14 dogmen. 14 dogmen in the tree. Okay, if you understand the size of these things in the mass that carry all that weight, and even if they went and did interdimensional or was able to, which they are, I believe they are, you can't take up that much space. It just would kill the tree. How do you tell them? Because if you say it, well, you just don't see it. You don't believe. Oh, you want to start stuff, and then they get into a fight. So I think Al and I have come up with the commonality of it's a great shot. There's not enough evidence to make a conclusive, opinion.
Mm-hmm.
And, but a lot of times there isn't. And then I think you did something, and you mentioned it to a certain degree, the pareidolia. And some of you were doing at one point. I forgot it was here. This is Brent's YouTube page, and just so you know, this crap's continuing from 10 p.m. Eastern until we drop. We're gonna go. I'm gonna be on Brent's Paranormal Portal. I dare to step into the portal, and I'll be there. And please stop on by, because it's going to be fun.
It's always
the roles will be reversed.
Yeah, I want to put you on the hot seat. Although, I got to tell you, I've loved this interview because I love having discussions most of all, and I feel like when I get asked to do interviews, I feel like, well, I can tell the same stories that I've told 300 other times, but it just feels like I don't want to give you the same interview that I gave everyone else. I mean, I'm happy to talk about my experiences if you want to dive into any of that, but I just feel like I'm being really redundant,
I mean, I was going to ask you about, like, what was my main question. I like to have the dialogue. I want the idea behind it, besides of like your inspiration. I want to have the conversation that's not a professional interview.
Right.
If you were an ice cream, Brent, what flavor would you be? And who would like it? I'm not doing that. But I want to have the conversation that when we meet, and we're going to meet down over in Missouri, Richmond, Missouri, September 19th and 20th, and come to this conference, Crossing Realms conference. Brent will be there. I'll be there. A bunch of people. I'm like, there's Bigfoot, Michigan Rob will be there. Katie, Brandy and Krista, everybody, Tex, Donnie Cho says stuff. That's going to be fun, by the way. And Monica, and there's so many. I love your network, and I always said that to BMR and Tex and you guys and Krista. You guys are a network without being a network, and because it is the chillest network in the planet. It's like, oh, you're having him on this month, cool. Hey, Bryan, can you come in August? Sure. Or because you don't step on each other's toes. You share the fantasy with each other. You help. That's what friendship's about. That's what makes things go bigger and better. You
Yeah.
know, when you're friends and you share the load, it's not that heavy. But I like these conversations. Like we're sitting there, whether you drink or not. You know, if I don't have to go anyplace, I'm gonna have a drink. I'm not driving anyplace. I'm like, you're gonna
Yep.
get me to have a drink, and like we're hanging out at the bar, and like, you know, so you know, I can just hear the conversation now. So he's got a roast beef sandwich in one hand and the fucking head of an alien in the other. Okay, and like, oh my god, pardon the French. You know, I like the conversations, and I like when, you know, unfortunately Mark Eddy speaks too much. You know, he just jumps in.
I know it's
But
hard to
no,
keep that guy in his
I,
corner over there.
I have some questions.
Sure.
go for it. This is what you're here
Okay,
for. It's,
hey,
and that look pretty.
uh,
You're gonna kill
uh,
me.
Brent, as you use all the high tech stuff to get, you know, your research out to your listeners, do do you think the older, like Victorian era authors started something that all these podcasters are picking up on 150 some years later? You know, like House of Seven Gables, or um, some of the Poe stories. Charles Dickens's A Christmas Carol, with exploring interdimensional travel.
Mhm.
Ha, do you think that those authors started something that, you know, you are continuing? Are you finding that they were accurate? Do
I
you
think
disagree with them?
no, I would never. You see, the thing with all of this is I don't think it's personally possible to disagree with anybody, because I can't offer any more empirical evidence than anybody else could, whether then or now. I think that a lot of the stuff is extraordinarily subjective to our own filters and our own way of perceiving it. I think that they kind of cut the grass we're all walking through, you know, like they
Yep.
cut the path. They created a framework of questioning, of looking, and I hope that all of us are, you know, continuing the mantle of that, and continuing to push forward. I don't know if we're any closer to answers than they were, but I think that, you know, it's like, you know, everybody from all the way back in Poe and all of those to Art Bell kind of cracking the egg on the
Hmm.
broadcast part of
Yep.
it, and you know, those are all the people that kind of created a path that we can walk down and we can ask these questions. So I hope I don't think that I would ever be as bold as to say that I disagree, but I hope that we're doing we're continuing and perpetuating the journey in some aspect, and I would love to say that through the course of my journey that I've come to some understandings and have some more answers. But honest to God, I just have a lot more questions. Like, I don't think I was my my goal was to help understand, but doing this was to help understand what I had experienced so many times in hauntings that I've lived through, and being close to what I think was a Bigfoot, and seeing a UFO. It's like I wanted to move towards understanding what these things were, but I think all I've done is found out that I have a lot more questions than I started. Like, I'm not moving towards understanding. And that's the part that's tough, is maybe there isn't understanding. But I think the one thing that I've actually learned through this journey, and I think it's important to note because I think it gets lost uh, constantly. And that is that for every experience, there's an experiencer, and maybe we're more integral in these and facilitating some of these events subconsciously, through many other, you know, maybe not directly conscious, maybe sometimes we manifest it through our fears, but that we are manifesting and facilitating some of these. And maybe that's empowering, because a lot of times we feel so afraid, and like we're being subjected to something that has power over us and we don't have control over. But I think we have a lot more control than we think we do. Like, we are we are a part of completing whatever circuit this is that's creating an event that we connect to. And I'll tell you, one of the things that really kind of got me going down this was the idea that, like, say there's an instance where there's three people, and one guy was a very big believer in Bigfoot. He was all on board. He was really, and I heard the story from Ronnie LeBlanc, who talked to the guy. He said he was a really big believer in Bigfoot, just all on board and ready to prove it to his friends. His one friend was open to the idea, but wasn't sure. And the other friend was an absolute skeptic. And so they went to this area near where they live. There was a bunch of sightings happening. And they were like, come on, guys, we're going to go. And I'm going to show you this. This is real. There's something out there. And this is a real phenomena. And so they did. The three friends went together to this location. And they got out and they're walking up this like logging path and in the deep woods. And about 50 feet in front of them, out steps a Sasquatch, and it's like 8-9 feet. Huge Sasquatch steps out in front of him. Now the believer, who was all on board, he looked at it and was able to make out details, the way the eyes looked, the teeth, physical details down to minutia, all the way from head to toe. He saw everything and was able to redocument that and talk about it. The guy that was open-minded, he saw a big shadow step out that was in the shape of a Bigfoot, but couldn't make out any details. And the skeptic, all three look in the same direction, saw absolutely nothing. So,
yeah,
they are facilitating this to some degree.
Okay, so we were talking about on Michelle and Wayne's show that was at Michigan Podcast about quantum tunneling. And that's communicating through quantum means, subatomical. The quantum tunneling is really with subatoms and going through materials and vibrating different frequencies, but it also gets into telepathic technical communication where you don't necessarily have to hear it. It just gets implanted in your head, the information, right? So case in point, you smell something and it triggers a memory of a best friend from Minnesota. And you're like, wow. And you remember your friend Timmy. I'm just making this up. Wow, that was good times. You're like, oh, I wonder what he's up to. And the next thing you know, you get a call from Timmy.
Yeah.
Now, it's like, oh, wow, what a coincidence. Well, first of all, there are no coincidences in life. Not one. Okay? The concept is that thought was sent into the ether. The quantum world on a different wave frequency. He was on that frequency about something, not necessarily thinking of you, but it got to him, and then he started like, oh, or vice versa. You're both thinking, and you connected. I'm like, I'm gonna give this guy a call. Boom, boom, boom. Hey,
Sure.
Is this Brent? And you're like, yeah, from XY, 1313 Mockingbird Lane. Yeah. I'm like, hey, it's Tim. Timmy, and that's how it happens. I had a thought about one of my friends that I hadn't seen since probably 4th grade. It's a long time ago. Oh my God. Yeah. Holy crap. That's a long time ago. I got to think about this for a second. Adam Feuerstein. And what we used to do is we used to go up to his apartment and we would talk about monsters and Bigfoot, things that we had in search of and watching those shows. But him and I had very similar tastes in music, and we was well ahead of where we were in the current status of Sean Cassidy. I love Kiss, don't get me wrong. But, the original Chicago Transit Authority, 25624, and Goodbye Yellow Brick Road. So we would sit there and listen to records. By the way, if you're a certain age, records are a wax thing that is pressed with grooves and uses vibrations and sound out. Because my kids have no clue what they are. So I was thinking of them. So in this day and age, you can kind of search people. And I searched, literally searched a couple of different social sites. And I'm like, it was X or Twitter at the time. And there wasn't that many Adam Feuersteins or whatever it was. And I said, hi, I know this out of the blue. Are you the Adam Feuerstein that grew up in the Bronx? Blah, 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 blah. So I got, I eventually connected to him, and he's kind of a bigwig in the financial community, writing about stuff and technology. And he wrote back, yeah, and you're the Bigfoot guy and the UFOs. And we're like, it was just great.
Uh-huh.
But sometimes some people want to come together and connect. And sometimes like they just want an instantaneous flashback and then they got to go back to life. In this community, if you can't comprehend that, if your psychology cannot grasp it, your body will not allow you to see that Bigfoot. That's
Mhm.
one, because it'll block it out to maintain your health and insanity. But on another format, these creatures have the ability, just like UFOs and some other stuff, that they can pick and choose which person will be seeing it. And you could be at like a football stadium, like Vikings, right?
Mhm.
You can be at Vikings full stadium. How many seats? 50,000, 40, whatever it is.
60, yeah, I think.
Okay, 60,000. And a UFO can literally come down, and they know because it's a consciousness thing. It's like an internet. All these different things, and they know which ones are open to it. And you can be sitting next to your wife, your kids, your uncles, your friends, other people, and you can go, do you see that UFO right there? And it's right there, but they're only targeting you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
I
think
don't
you
see
had
anything.
some samples of some people processing correctly, you know, what they saw with the Phoenix Lights case.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, actually, John
Or I would-
Strawdog sent me an article today about. I forgot it was. It's part of the quantum spectrum. I was just talking about that. I think the night before, but someone broke it down into something like I have a theory, and it was great. But it's basically each switch can be there. Well, you work with coding, right? So you can either be a one or a zero.
Mhm.
So one being a believer, zero is nope, not doing it. And there are people like that out there. That's why some people, when they get abducted, they come back and they don't realize they've been abducted. But other people come back with a message. And sometimes it happens instantaneously. So people are so vibrating a different frequency that like they can handle it. Like go back and tell them to buy XRP, or whatever, Bitcoin. While others are just like, I don't know, I had a really weird dream last night about owls, and my ass hurts. I'm like, well, I got news for you. Part of the expression. But this is where the difference is.
Yeah.
But then you'll get the religious people. They're demons. No, they're not demons.
I know that one's a tough one too.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
it's Brent. Speaking of the religious people, claiming that the Bigfoot or demons. What about the brontosaurus-like creature?
Makele Mbembe in Congo.
It's in the Book of Job too.
Oh, sure.
So what did the author of that book from 4,000 years ago? The Book of Job might be the first book of the Bible, or the first written book in the
Copy of
Bible.
it?
Not
Well, the first scribed or
it's it's not like I have an autographed copy of the Bible.
why not, Mark? You should.
It's
Mark has so many great like pieces, like you'll do a show on something like William Shakespeare is like, well, this is the third edition copy that I have of Shakespeare. He has a ton of stuff. No, it's really really great.
Yeah.
And great questions by the way, Mark.
It's in the Book of Job, chapter 40. Now think of Behemoth. He eats green stuff like an ox, but what strength he has in his loins, what power in his stomach muscles. His tail is as stiff as a cedar. The sinews of his thighs are tightly knit. His vertebrae are bronze tubing. His bones as hard as hammered iron. He is a masterpiece of all of God's work. Yeah, uh, lives in the swamps. So we're talking about a pretty big critter.
Yeah.
Yeah,
What
with a
it's
cool name, by the way.
yeah, but
It's a great name to say.
behemoth. What did the author of this biblical book see? What 3,500, 4,000 years ago? Well, it seems like he saw something. Is it an alligator?
No, I don't know. I mean, I could make a guess or two, but I certainly don't know. And I mean, it certainly could be. I do believe that there's a possibility that there are surviving examples of like the Mbembe and possibly an Ankylosaurus, Stegosaurus
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
in Africa, along with there's reports of tyrannosaur like creatures out there as well. And so something people are seeing something. I don't know, how that works. I've heard the theories of, well, maybe they come in through portals and stuff from like a time dilation or something like that. But I'm not sure that I can believe that, because if these were truly dinosaurs that were somehow coming into our modern atmosphere, the oxygen level in our modern atmosphere is like 25% less than it was back in their time.
Back
So
then,
they would
yeah.
probably fall unconscious within a moment, or
Un-
soon after.
Unless if throughout time, over time, McKinley, it propagates and
Sure.
or replicates and
Yeah.
then
On an
over
evolution
time the egg cracks or whatever it is, and they get used to that point from that point forward.
right.
I
But
mean,
I'm just speaking to the fact that some people think that these portals open and somehow they walk in and then walk back, or come into our realm of existence and then soon after go back. Like the I've heard this for the pterosaurs and the flying reptiles, that maybe there's wormholes of some kind that are opening and they're coming into our air and then they end up going back somehow, or maybe
well,
some overlap of time.
I mean, there are certain beings that are interdimensional beings,
Mhm.
and it's really. I'm going to use the case in point was the Bayside Mall down in Miami
Oh yeah, yeah,
in New Year's Eve, where these 10-foot creatures were seen, and they were, glitching,
yeah.
and I mean, people saw them. Now, I had people lined up for that, but they said I can't talk. That they'll kill me or whatever it was.
Wow.
And I've seen the video and I saw. I believe it was real, and I can get into that another time. But
Well, you can get into it on the portal later.
yeah, I definitely will. The glitching aspect of things is these beings that can go interdimensional can straddle two dimensions at the same time.
Sure.
So, and then they can choose, maybe that's that adaptation phase. Kind of like if you're scuba diving, you have to do the stop at a certain point
Oh,
to regulate.
maybe.
And so maybe, depending on how quickly you need to do it, depending where you are, but a lot of this stuff, it's all speculation because we don't know.
Yeah.
We really don't know. It's, they talk about the ice wall in our Antarctica, it's just gets crazy what you can imagine, because you were in computing and education and this subject. What do you think the most difficult element or product or is right now that is really, at the heart of, hurting it?
Hurting what? What do you
Well,
mean?
hurting the field.
Our
What do you
field?
the paranormal field?
AI, probably.
Oh,
Honestly.
I do. Okay.
Yeah.
Did we just become best friends? Yeah. Yeah, we did. We're gonna go play drums in the garage. So
It's a beat laboratory.
yeah, amen to that, because I think that's huge. You can't tell what's what anymore.
No, I think that I think they ought to mandate that any AI fabrication at least comes with some sort of digital watermark, that it can
Yep.
be easily and flagged automatically, whether the person wants it to or not. It's just built into a pixel or something somewhere, and it will let everybody know what you're watching is a fabrication.
Was the law recently passed on that, or is that still being
I don't know.
Debated?
It needs to be.
Well, that was part of the big bill or whatever the heck they were talking about AI being, used in the government. But I have a problem with that because you have to understand AI is black and white, but as human beings, we got a boatload of gray in between.
Yes.
Well, I thought there was some. Maybe it was on a state level about, you can't do this, like Photoshop someone's head onto, like
Oh, sure. Yeah.
like
That's
put
criminal.
put like Brent's face on top of my body, and say, oh well, like there's Brent doing his shows naked.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
I joke around like that all the time and make those parodies.
Sure.
And I put my face on Christopher Walken's head and hair, and two people used it as a promo piece, and I'm like, oh my god! They went on my Facebook.
I was kind of referencing that, but
Yeah,
I think maybe it's on a state level that you can't Photoshop someone's head over like it was usually in a pornographic
Yeah.
context,
Yeah.
and it's causing like teens in the school to be severely bullied. Well, okay, where's this stop with First Amendment artistic rights, and you're hurting people.
Sure. Well, I think it has to do with the right of somebody to not have their character impugned, in artificial ways like that, or victimization. It's considered a victimization. Like, just like if you have nude pictures of your girlfriend, it's not legal for you to publish them, even though she may have given you permission to take them at the time, and then you break up and you post them. You can be liable for that.
But Brent, I
you
like your
you always want to get that release signed by the individual before you post anything, because at that
Brent,
point anything goes.
I do like your suggestion of the like the watermark and the
Yeah.
AI that you can check it out. Oh, okay,
Yeah.
this is someone trying to make a name for themselves.
Right.
I mean, that should go with also not only it should go with audio, and it should go with video and still,
Sure.
because I was close to getting taken. There is a 3 to 5 second video of a UFO hovering over the trees in the sky. And I remember it was vetted. It is real. A whole bunch of people saw it at different angles. It's a real piece. Then another video comes out, and this guy's driving down a road with the dog whining in the road, and you look like you're going through the Black Forest in Germany, and the road's there, and dog starts whining. The UFO comes up. It's that UFO, and that's the video, and it goes on for like a minute and change, and I'm like, holy crap, this is great, coverage of someone got a better shot of this.
Yeah.
Like it looks like a camera like car camera.
Yeah.
So I vet all this stuff. This is like some of the things we didn't have the online thing to detect whether it's AI or whatever. And I'm like, it's solid. And then I just watched. I watched the trees. I'm like, okay, nothing changes, nothing weird. And then I watched the road. And the road changed. It's the same road every so many.
Oh, it's a loop. Yeah.
Right. No, what it is 3D software used for gaming, but they don't do 17 miles worth of roadway. They do a piece that's this big, and they repeat it.
Yep.
So it's the same pothole. And I got it at that point. It was seamless. Then eventually it came out. It's a company that's making video games and media. And I'm like, bravo, because you did a damn good job. They replicated the actual video of the UFO, the legit, and they expanded upon it.
Wow.
And that's before AI. Now AI can do that in an instant.
Yeah, well,
You can take,
there's a
you know,
free program out there called Blender, and that's literally professional grade software. I have it. I use it. I've done it. Use it for like some promo pieces and making 3D animations of like Paranormal Portal logo. But yeah, I mean, it's out there and lots of tutorials to walk you through it.
I have it.
It's a great.
Yeah,
program, right?
they're really great. I also have the Adobe stuff, and some of them are like, it's really awesome. And with a lot of these platforms, there's so much free add-ons or plugins to it, and it's getting better and better that you can literally sit there. It takes some coding too if you really want to do certain like After Effects and whatever. But if you're not a coder, you better go hire one on one of the sites. But you can do some incredible stuff with it. But now all you have to do, I'm friends with Evan B. Stone. I grew up with him in my neighborhood. He's Josh Gates, his principal photographer.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
He's been on all his shows, It's him and Bryan Weed. But so Evan came on, and he's become the AI expert. And what he's doing with AI right now, he's creating full featured films, but he's also taking films where like you can't, the production was done a year ago, and he's able to take that production, and when you wanted to expand on it, and through AI, same colorization, same lighting, and then expand the way you want with the same characters, so you don't have to go back and do it.
Reshoot it. Oh, neat.
Oh my God, he is so far ahead of everybody on the curve.
Wow.
But this is great though for content creators. Like,
sure.
The stories that when you go to Paranormal Portal and he reads some stories and eyewitness accounts, and you just said you use Blender. Imagine being able to take the transcript of that, and then put it into a system, and then hit a button, and Blender goes, "I got you, Brent."
Yep.
And in literally 5 minutes, he outputs that, and you're like, "Holy crap, that was great."
Well, my wife did one of those baby face videos of me introducing my show, and it's like, God, I mean, it looks photorealistic. It's just incredible.
You have no. So, do your youngin use Snapchat?
No, my wife did it, but
No. But do your kids use Snapchat?
No, I mean, my oldest son might. I don't know.
Okay, so my oldest daughter used it, and I'm like, "What's it?" We have to, as parents, got to monitor what's going on. There's some real sick people out there. So I discovered all the different videos, like whatever, like the guy's no teeth. So I would used to send her every day, "Love your baby girl, daddy loves you, have a great day at school." And initially she was like, but she would get on the bus and they go, "Did he send you another one?" And then you go like, "Yeah." I do it all the time. I've actually done a conversation for people's birthday, because my older brother's name's Brett. So like, come in and wish Brett a happy birthday. Brent, no, like back and forth doing this. And like, this other guy came out, "These two are idiots," and people like, "Well, who is it?" There was Nathan in there. People think, I need meds. My coworkers think I need meds, and I'm like, my family thinks I need meds, but it's funny stuff. And I put it together, like, how do you do this? And I'm like, just come up with a concept, put it down, and whatever. Actually, Al and I, we know so much about the paranormal that I can literally, if I wanted to, at will, be it on camera, public, private, wherever, I can tell you a story. I got abducted, and I can go into all the details of it, and I'll have you hanging on every word, and like, whatever. I know enough to say what I want, however I want. I don't do that. But what I do as a New York City boy, I listen to everything they say, not to, I don't want to go, "Got you," but I want to see if there's consistency, because if you have an experience, you remember it. You don't need to write it down unless you have close to 80 or something like that. So, but I love the fact you do what you do, and And the show, you got to go check out Brent's subscribe.
You do.
Go and subscribe to this thing. It's YouTube. And then, I'm going to share the screen to the YouTube page, because guess what, folks? In about 30 minutes, I'm going to be there. And we're going to continue this, and then it's going to be my turn to, maybe shut the F up and whatever.
Oh, no. I want you to talk your way through 2 hours, brother.
Dude, I could talk
I know. That's why I'm loving it.
So it's Paranormal Portal. It's right there. Go up there, like, subscribe, share. It makes a great 4th of July gift.
It does. And
give it to all your family members.
Tonight is Bring a Friend night. So if you do go over there, you got to bring a friend.
I got to bring a friend?
Not you. You're my friend for tonight.
Okay. Oh, okay. Because I have this Australian Labradoodle who I now call an asshole Labradoodle. And I'll bring him if you want. But
oh, that's funny.
I mean, yeah, he's 10 months old. So he may make it to 11 months. We don't know yet.
I got a miniature golden doodle. Golden doodle.
How old?
She's 3, about 3. Well, probably almost 4 now, actually. But
this dog has destroyed more shit than my bull terrier ever had.
Yeah.
And he barks and he talks back. I mean, literally, I bought him this Bigfoot soft toy.
Oh no,
it has like a squeaker in the brain. The arm has like crinklies and a robe. And I literally gave it to him. It's like a $35-$45 toy. It's crazy. Exactly.
This is sound crack to a dog. They will destroy whatever they can to get to it.
Yeah. And seriously, in under 15 minutes, this evil bastard has, you can bring him into the camera. So this is the evil bastard right here.
Oh,
this one.
He's adorable.
Right here.
The older one's not the evil, but she's the one that got the videos. He destroyed it. He lobotomized the damn thing. He does it to rope toys. He does so now all we can give him is like, I don't know, steel or hard plastic.
I know. Well, that's why I got this one, because she'll tear it up and then she'll chew this, and she gets all kinds of colorful feces of plasticky pieces. So
that was my bull terrier. He ate glow sticks, and I was up in Maine until 3:30 in the morning trying to figure out, if he's going to die. And then the guy goes, "No, they're non-toxic for kids." And I'm like, "Oh, great." He goes, "On the plus side, you'll find his crap quickly."
Yeah. I'll tell you a story of dog crap. I used to have a German Shepherd. Her name was Xena, like the warrior princess. She came named. I didn't name her, but this was back in Minnesota, and I went out and picked up dog poop, because she was a pretty prolific pooper. And I'm leaning down to pick up a pile, and I realized there's an eye looking back at me. Like, why is there an eye looking at me from her poop? And I'm like, this is really disturbing. I scoop it up, George Washington's eye, and then I look, and the rest of George is in that one as well. And I found several poops. She apparently found some of the money from a pocket of mine and was snacking on cash. And then I had like a poop parade full of cash in it out in my yard. I was so mad.
Well, if it has a serial number, you send it back to the Federal Reserve.
I wasn't going to do it. I was going to accept that loss. I wasn't going to do serial numbers.
On a side note, my father's uncle was very good friends with Babe Ruth, Maya Lansky, Bugsy Siegel, but that's a different story. Gave him a ball signed by Murderers Row, Lou Gehrig, Babe Ruth, the whole thing. His dog ate it. So I said to my father, "You killed the dog?" Oh. He goes, "No, but he had the skin. I don't know where the skin went, but
oh my God.
But as a kid, it's kind of like if I got an Aaron Judd, ball right now and whatever.
Imagine what that's worth, though. Oh my God.
Yeah, wow. Hopefully pay for college, but I'm going to thank you right now. Give you some time to get out and stretch your legs.
Yeah.
Brent Thomas. And the banners down there, which I forgot to show, and I apologize because Mark Eddy's too pretty. But please go check him out. His website is paranormalportal.net.
Yes.
The YouTube page, just type in Paranormal Portal, and you will find Brent there.
Yep.
Go become a subscriber. And I appreciate everybody coming in. We didn't get to the question of what was your most haunted prison you worked in with corrections, but we can answer that on your show.
Yeah, I would
or next time.
I only worked at one prison. It was it was old. I don't think it was haunted. I'm sure it probably was to some degree, but it was a juvenile corrections prison, so it wasn't like real dark stuff. And
then you're talking like Midwest, and I'm thinking they want you too, Malachi. Sorry, I'm gonna go.
Children of the Corn, absolutely.
Yeah. But on that note, we ended the same way. I can't thank you enough, Brent. It's a song on you that I wrote. I thank all of you in chat, and come to Paranormal Portal because she's going to see me in about 20 minutes or so. Bye. And I got to go. You know, it'd help if you ended the stream and it just ended the stream, but no, you got to do.
You, it's always been you. God showed me you. I have been searching decades for you. I found you, I lost you. My heart is broken without you. My soul aches for you. I need you, I want you. My days are filled with you. I've seen the future with you. My home is with you. I have felt the future with you. My nights are filled with you. Love is you. True love is you. My happiness is you. Every past life is with you. My dreams are filled with you. Life is meaningless without you. My future is with you. I will fight for you. I will defend you. I will give up my life for you. Whatever it takes for you. Nothing else matters but you. I love you. I love you. I love you. God showed me you. I have been searching decades for you. I found you, I lost you. My heart is broken without you. My soul aches for you. I need you, I want you. My days are filled with you. I have seen the future with you. My home is with you. I have felt the future with you. My nights are filled with you. Love is you, true love is you. Love is you, true love is you. My happiness is you. Every past life is with you. My dreams are filled with you. Life is meaningless without you. My future is with you. I will fight for you. I will defend you. I would give up my life for you. Whatever it takes for you. Nothing else matters but you. I love you. I love you. Life is meaningless without you. My future is with you.